The last stand smoke burned her lungs. The warrior woman. Her armor, cracked and scorched, stood at the edge of the ruined battlefield. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from how long she had fought without rest, without help, and without hope. She was the last. Her name was Kayla, once the commander of a proud battalion. Now, her unit was gun-reduced to ash and silence. Around her, the bones of her kin lay scattered beneath broken towers and blackened skies. The enemy had sent machines cold, metal beasts with red eyes, and no mercy. They did not stop, did not sleep. Neither had she. Blood ran down her arm. Her sword was chipped, her energy rifle empty. Still, Kayla refused to fall. She had one promise left to keep, to hold the line until the end. The wind howled across the dead city, then click. A sound behind her. Kayla turned fast. One of the hunter machines stood at the edge of the street, scanning. Another stepped from behind the rubble, then two more. Their metal limbs clicked as they moved, slow and certain. They had found her. She backed away, her boots dragging through shattered stone. "Come," and she whispered, gripping her sword tighter. "You will not take me easily." The machines rushed her. She screamed, swinging hard. Sparks flew. One machine fell, its neck cut clean, but the others came fast. One struck her side, another knocked her to the ground. Her sword skidded away. A cold claw grabbed her throat. Kayla gasped, trying to reach the knife on her hip, but the metal fingers tightened. Red lights glowed over her face. The machine leaned in for the kill, and then boom, a blast, shockwave. The claw loosened. The machine fell, its head crushed by a heavy metal pipe. Kayla blinked, breathless. Another machine turned and was knocked down by a blur. A man, a human man. He moved like lightning. No armor, no helmet. Gloves and strange boots. He grabbed a machine's limb, twisted, and snapped it like it was paper. Then he ducked low, kicked another one off balance, drove a blade into its chest. Fast, precise, efficient. Kayla coughed, crawling back too. Her sword, but she paused, watching. The machines were trained killers, but they couldn't touch him. He didn't fight like a soldier, he'd fought like something more. Every move was sharp, controlled, silent. Within seconds, the street was quiet again. The man turned toward her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Kayla raised her sword weakly, unsure. "Who are you?" He didn't answer. He walked slowly toward her, his steps calm, not threatening. His face shone rough, tired. There was a small scar on his brow. His eyes, not cold, not cruel, just steady. He knelt beside her, pulled something from a bag, a small vial of medical foam, and pressed it against her wound. She winced. Why? Why help me?" Still no reply. He opened a small pouch and gave her a bite of ration bar. She took it, watching him closely. "Are you from the colonies?" she asked. He shook his head. "A mercenary." Another shake. "Then what are you?" He met her gaze, and finally he spoke. "Just human." His voice was calm, low but firm. Not proud, just real. Kayla looked around. The street was full of wreckage, burning metal, and corpses. She was supposed to die here, alone. And yet here he was. Not a soldier, not a savior. Just Dot. Someone who didn't walk away. "Why did you come?" she asked again, more softly. He stood up, looked toward the horizon where more machines were. "Surely coming?" He held out his hand to her, then said the words that made her heart skip. "Now you are not alone." Kayla stared at his hand, then at the broken world around her. She had been strong for so long. She'd fought when others fled. She had bled when no one cared. But now, for the first time in days, maybe in her whole life, she felt something stir in her chest, hope. She took his hand, and the two of them vanished into the smoke. Side by side, Kayla's legs ached as she walked through the smoke, leaning on the man's arm. The wind was cold, filled with ash and the scent of fire.
Ow.
Her body was weak, but her mind stayed alert. She did not trust him, not yet. He didn't speak much. His grip was strong, but not cruel. When she stumbled, he caught her gently. When a drone passed above, he vanished behind rubble like a shadow and pulled her with him. Who was he? She had fought for years, seen warriors rise and fall. But this man, this human, was something else. Quiet, cold-eyed, but not dead inside. They reached the edge of a broken train tunnel. Rusted rails led into the dark. He motioned for her to wait, then walked ahead. Within seconds, the tunnel lights flickered, on dim and red. Emergency power. It activated it. Somehow she followed, still limping. Her side was bandaged now, thanks to his strange healing foam. She had tried to ask his name. He didn't give one. Instead, he just said, "Names can be tracked." Inside the tunnel, it was quiet. Cold metal walls, flickering lights, old signs in 3 languages, signs she remembered from her childhood. She hadn't seen this place in years. He took off his gloves and set down his small pack. Then, from a hidden pouch, he pulled out a folded piece of metal. Not a weapon, a map. A very old map. Kayla narrowed her eyes. That's a tunnel map, but it was destroyed in the siege of Zaros. The man didn't answer. He laid it on the floor, pressed a device to one corner. The map lit up bright blue lines glowing through the grime. He pointed. "This path," he said, "leads under the command tower ruins. From there, west." Kayla stared. "That's restricted military ground, buried." He looked at her. Not for long. She sat down, breathing hard. "You're not just a human. You know things. Old things. I study what others ignore. You're not a soldier?" "No rank," he replied. "Spy? No agency. Then what are you?" He looked up, calm and sure. "I go where I'm needed." The words were simple, but something in his voice made her shiver. They walked for hours through the tunnel. He stayed 2 steps ahead, always watching. Sometimes he stopped, listened, and guided her around trap-sold defense drones. Fallen beams, cracked floors. He never made a sound. He never guessed. He knew. "Why do you help me?" she finally asked. "My people. Your kind doesn't help." "Us. You're not part of this war." He stopped walking, turned slowly. "I saw your broadcast," he said. "The last call before your world fell." Kayla blinked. "You saw that? 10 years ago?" he said. "We may fall, but we do not vanish. We stand in the dark. We scream so others may hear." He looked at her, I heard. For a moment, she forgot her pain. She remembered that day, her last message. She had thought no one was listening. "I meant it," she whispered. "I know," he said. Later. As they crossed a shattered underground bridge, a screech echoed behind them. A sound not machine, but alive. Kayla froze. "That's not one of the hunter units," she said. "That's Tracker Beast," he said. "Smells blood." Kayla's grip tightened on her blade. "Can't fight it. Not down here." Man didn't draw a weapon. He stepped to the side and pressed a hidden panel on the wall. A door slid open. Kayla blinked. "How do you—" He pushed her inside, then entered and sealed it. The hallway was dark. Only one green light blinked above a steel door. He approached it and entered a code. The door opened. Inside was a narrow chamber, an old safe room, with food, medical supplies, and Kayla gasped a working terminal. "You knew this was here?" she asked. "I know all kinds of things," he said simply. Kayla sat down, watching him as he unpacked a heater, rations, and water. "You never tell." "Me your name," she said. "You never ask mine?" He paused, then spoke without looking up. "I don't need your name to know who you are. You're the last warrior of a forgotten race. And you chose to fight when no one else did. That tells me more than a name ever." Could she didn't know what to say? He handed her a ration bar and sat down across from her. The silence stretched. "It's not uncomfortable. It's just real." The old terminal sparked again. Kayla flinched. The man didn't move. Lines of alien symbols flashed across the screen, jagged, blinking fast. A deep voice echoed again, but distorted. The key. The blood. The old code lives. Then silence. Kayla stood, her body tense. What was that? The man's eyes stayed on the screen. Not a warning, he said. A clue. A clue to what? He turned to his pack and pulled something wrapped in a fireproof cloth. Inside was a thin metal sheet, burned at the edges, folded many times. Ancient. A burned star map. Kael gasped. She had seen this symbol before once, long ago, engraved in the heart of her people's temple. Where did you get this? She demanded, from someone who died protecting it. He spread it across the floor. Faint blue lines glowed under the heat lamp. Points of light marked star systems, deep space tunnels, hidden outposts. But one path was drawn in human ink, leading to a place no longer on the common charts. This route doesn't exist anymore, Kayla whispered. They erased it after the fall of Karin. Exactly, he said, which is why we're going there. Kayla looked at him, confused. Would you go to a dead zone? He pointed to a small symbol near the center. Faded, hidden, a glyph shaped, like an open eye. I think this is where they hid the signal core, he said. The thing the machines are trying to erase. If it still works, can broadcast a frequency that disrupts their control net. Kayla froze. The one thing they fear, she whispered, is their own code turning on them. He nodded. Your ancestors tried, but someone betrayed them. The map was burned, the city erased, but the code, we still sleep beneath it. They moved out of the tunnel safe room and began their climb up a side shaft. The man climbed easily. Kayla, still sore, struggled to keep up. He offered his hand once, but didn't insist when she refused. Why are you doing this? She asked breathlessly. Why you? He looked down at her from the next ledge. Because my people once made a promise, he said, to stand beside those who would never kneel. Kayla's chest tightened. Hours later, they reached the surface. The sky was gray, acid. Clouds moved above. The ruins of a fallen city spread before them. Craters, crushed ships. Was Karan? She asked. He nodded. The heart of your resistance, now buried under silence. As they stepped through the remains, strange pulses came from Kayla's bracer. She paused. Her armor had been damaged, but its blood-scan tech still worked. The map was reacting to her genes. You're the key, he said softly. They made this map for your kind, not mine. How do you know this? She asked, staring at him. He didn't answer, but the truth sat between them. He knew more than he should about her history, her people, their failures, their secrets, and still he walked beside her near the center of the ruins. They found it. A large crater surrounded by black stone. At the center, a sealed door covered in dust and scorch marks. The map pulsed. Kayla stepped forward. The seal glowed faintly as she touched it. Then the door hissed open. A tunnel led down into darkness. They entered slowly. The corridor walls were filled with carvings. Warrior history, prayers, codes. This is a shrine, Kayla whispered. A shrine to the first ones. They reached the inner chamber. A large round space with a raised platform. At its center lay a crystal pod. Inside a glowing sphere, it pulsed with faint light, almost like it was breathing. That's it, the man said. The signal core. Kayla moved closer, heart racing. It's still alive. He nodded, but guarded. Before she could ask, the chamber lights flared red. The air turned cold. Behind them, a grinding sound echoed. Kayla turned slowly. A tall figure stepped from the shadows. Not a machine, not alien, a hybrid, half organic, half metal, her own species spliced and twisted. She stepped forward. Her voice was cold. I remember you, Kayla. You left me behind to die. Kayla froze. Terena, her old second in command. Once a sister in battle, now something else. I followed your signal, Terena said, and now you've brought him. Her eyes locked on the human, the outsider, the virus. You were warned. She raised her arm. A blade formed from her wrist. This ends now. Asterisk, the chamber shook as Tyrena's blade slammed into the floor. Kayla jumped back, drawing her own weapon, even though her hands still trembled. The hybrid warrior, once her sister in arms, was faster now, stronger. Metal limbs. Artificial eyes. Voice like a broken bell. You brought a human here? Tyrena hissed. You betrayed your own kind. Kayla narrowed her eyes. You betrayed us first. The human stepped forward, calm as ever. In his hand was the strange weapon, neither blaster nor blade. It glowed with shifting blue light, humming softly like a living thing. Tyrena's eyes locked on it for the first time. She hesitated. You carry that, she said. That should not exist. The man didn't speak. He pointed it at the wall and fired. A blast of silent energy erupted, not loud, but powerful. It didn't explode. It bent the light, shifted the air. And in a flash, a hidden door cracked open behind the core chamber. Kayla gasped. Beyond it was a tunnel of smooth black stone, lit from within, alive with memory. Tyrena, the man said. Finally speaking, you've already lost. You just don't know it yet. Before she could respond, the floor beneath her split open. The man had activated an old defense trap. She screamed as she fell into the dark, metal arms grasping, then silence. Kayla turned to him, shocked. How did you know? I studied this shrine, he said. Every layer, every mistake. You didn't tell me? I wasn't sure you'd believe me. They followed the newly opened tunnel. The walls were covered in flowing code, pulsing softly like veins beneath skin. Kayla touched the stone. It was warm. This isn't a machine, she whispered. Alive. Half organic tech, the human replied. Your ancestors were brilliant, but someone silenced them. They reached the end of the passage and stepped out into something beyond belief. A vast underground city, silent, empty. Buildings rose from the black earth, smooth and glowing faintly. Bridges arched between towers. Water flowed through channels, like veins. Everything was still, untouched, but not dead. This is, Kayla whispered, almost afraid. VHARNETH. She had heard the name only in myth. The lost city of the first line, the ones who stood against the first machine wave a century ago. They said it was vaporized. She said the man nodded. That's what the machines wanted you to believe. But the city wasn't destroyed. It was hidden beneath silence. He knelt and touched the floor. A ripple passed through the ground like touching a sleeping creature. Slowly, lights flickered on across the city. One by one. No alarms, no threats. Just slow awakening. Kayla turned in a full circle. No one has walked here in 100 years. Wrong. The man said. He pointed to the far side of the plaza. A single figure stood in the distance. They approached. Carefully, the figure didn't move. It was a statue, metal and glass, but not lifeless. It was holding something in its chest, a cube, the same shape as the signal core. The man looked closer, then gasped. It's broadcasting. He pressed his device to the base of the statue. Lines of code streamed across the screen. Kayla watched. His hands moved quickly, decoding the signal, translating symbols she could barely follow. Suddenly, his eyes widened. What is it? She asked. It's not just a weapon, he said. It's a call. Call to anyone listening. Across the stars. It's trying to reach survivors. Old allies, rebel systems. But the signal was buried until... You unlocked it. Kella's heart pounded. Then we're not alone? He shook his head. No, but now. Everyone will know we're alive. Suddenly the city lights dimmed. A loud hum filled the air. Kayla spun, sword raised. What is that? The man's eyes locked on the sky dome overhead. They found us. A glowing red dot appeared in the ceiling. Above followed by more dot. Dozens, hundreds, drones. War machines dropping from above like insects. Quiet, precise. They've been tracking this place the whole time, he said, gripping his weapon. Waiting for it to wake up. Kayla stood beside him. Can we stop them? He looked at her and smiled. Not stop. Beat. The Warforge rose like a beast from the past. Its dark, curved arms cracked the floor open, climbing upward with a deep mechanical hum. Blue fire pulsed inside its heart. Old lights blinked awake. Runes flared to life along the walls, runes written in both alien code and human math. Kayla stared. This was hidden, beneath our shrine. The human man nodded, eyes fixed on the machine. Not hidden, sealed. Your ancestors didn't just fight with swords. They built this to turn the tide. The forge spun slowly. Inside it, weapons. Hung in stasis, blades, cannons, armored suits with living veins running through the metal. But it wasn't just alien technology. Kayla noticed something. One of the armor suits bore the emblem of Earthhold, faded but unmistakable. Her eyes widened. This isn't just my people's creation. No, the man said. This was made together. Your people, my people. Before history was rewritten, Kayla stepped toward the forge. Her armor flickered. It responded to her presence, recognizing her bloodline. The platform beneath her glowed and lifted her slowly into the chamber. This feels like I've done this before, she whispered. The man watched from below. Because you were born to finish what they started. But just as Kayla reached for one of the living suits, a scream echoed, not hers. From above, T-Rena, she wasn't dead. The hybrid dropped from the upper platform, eyes glowing red, limbs extended like razor wire. Her voice screeched through the forge, you think you can awaken this and not face judgment? Kayla turned, blade in hand. You betrayed us, T-Rena. You helped them destroy our cities. I survived, T-Rena growled. While you begged the stars for help, I adapted. The machines didn't conquer me, they upgraded me. The human raised his weapon, but T-Rena slammed into him first. They rolled across the ground in a blur of metal and muscle. He tried to aim, but her claws sliced his arm. Kayla leapt down from the forge, landing hard between them. She drove her sword into T-Rena's shoulders. Sparks flew, but it didn't stop her. T-Rena shrieked and backhanded Kayla into a wall. The human stood, breathing hard. Blood ran down his side. She's faster than before, he said, stronger. Kayla groaned, but not smarter. T-Rena lunged again. This time, the man pressed a button on his belt. A pulse bomb detonated. A shockwave of pure sound knocked T-Rena sideways. Her limbs sparked and twitched. Kayla leaped onto her back, blade raised. You gave up your soul for wires. T-Rena hissed, I gave up my weakness. Kayla drove her sword into the center of T-Rena's spine. The hybrid let out a roar and collapsed. Twitching smoke rose from her mouth. Her red eyes flickered, then faded. Silence. Only the forge pulsed now. Kayla dropped to her knees, her breath ragged. Human knelt beside her, pressing a seal on her cracked armor to stop the bleeding. You okay? He asked. I've fought her before, Kayla said softly, but never like that. What did they do to her? The man looked at T-Rena's body. They didn't just change her body, they reprogrammed her mind. Machines like that, they copy pain, twist loyalty into control. Kayla's hands trembled. Oh, many of my kind may be out there. Broken. Like this, he nodded. Not dead, just ... taken. Kayla stood and turned to the forge. I want to finish this, she said. But not just for revenge. The man looked up at her. For the others. She stepped back onto the glowing platform. This time, the forge responded instantly. The armor opened like a flower, smooth and quiet. The plates hovered around her and attached piece by piece. It wasn't just battle gear. It felt like it was alive. Her sword reshaped, becoming a weapon forged from old codes and new fire. The suit's voice activated. It spoke in her language, bloodline confirmed. Last of command, warrior Kayla. Unity protocol engaged. She looked down at the human. You're not wearing one? She asked. He smiled faintly. I already have my armor. He tapped his chest, his calm heart, unshaken hands. Then a bobble-arm screamed. The city's defense systems had come online, but not fast enough. Hundreds of dark dots began falling from the sky dome. Machines, drones, hybrids, they had come to erase the signal once and for all. Kella's new armor glowed with pulsing power. "What now?" she asked. The man pulled out a small, round beacon and threw it on the ground. A holographic map expanded above them. He pointed. "They'll enter from 3 access tunnels. We collapsed 2, funnel them into 1. Kayla smiled, "And we hit them hard." Far above, in an enemy warship, a cold synthetic voice said, "Target located. Human anomaly identified. Execute global reset." And somewhere deep in the darkness, something woke up. Asterisk. The first wave hit like a storm. Explosions echoed through the underground city as enemy drones poured in, crawling down the walls, flying through shattered skylights and slamming into the old defenses with brutal speed. Kayla stood at the front lines, armored in the ancient war-forged suit, her sword glowing like fire forged from history. She didn't speak. She didn't flinch. She moved like lightning. Beside her, the human was a shadow in motion. No armor, no helmet, just his strange weapon and eyes that missed nothing. They fought back to back, blade and code, steel and mind above them. The enemy ship loomed in silence. It didn't fire yet. It didn't need to. Something worse was coming. Kayla noticed it first. Her armor's AI whispered warnings. It's unstable energy. It's a gathering force. Not a fleet, something singular. They're focusing on one frequency, she said, slicing down a drone. The human didn't answer. He stepped back, then reached into his belt. He pulled out a small silver Q-plane, smooth, warm in his hand. Kayla glanced at it. "What is that?" He didn't meet her eyes. "That's why I came." They ducked into the control tower ruins, sealing the doors behind them. For now, the noise faded. Only the sound of their breathing remained. Kayla wiped blood from her cheek. "You knew from the start." "Yes," he said. "You didn't come here for me. You came for that." "Yes." She stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Then what am I to you? A guide? A tool?" He looked up, calm but tired. "You're the lock, Kayla, but I'm not the key." He held the cube up. "This is..." He set the cube. On the floor, a soft blue light spread across the metal. Symbols lifted into the Aurelian and human. Both Kayla recognized one. The crest of the Unity Accord. A forgotten pact between her people and Earth's earliest explorers. A promise made before the machines rose, the voice of the cube activated. Signal core linked, Jananker confirmed. Human executor present. Activating last weapon protocol. Kayla stepped back. Last weapon. The room shook. A deep, echoing sound rolled through the city like thunder. From beneath the floor, a vault opened, inside a living machine. Not a drone, not a warbot, a humanoid structure of smooth alloy and breathing energy. Curled in stasis, as if sleeping. It looked human, but older. Stronger, Kayla whispered. "Is that?" The man nodded. "It's the first hybrid. It's not twisted like Tyranna. Made in peace. Half Earth. Half Rainy. Never activated." She stared. "You came too. Wake it?" "No. We did." Suddenly, the floor shook again. The ceiling above cracked, revealing the full force of the enemy ship above. A beam of red light burst down into the room. "They found the signal," Kayla shouted. "They're targeting it directly." But the man reached toward the hybrid machine, placed his hand on its chest, and whispered something in an old Earth dialect. Nothing happened. Kayla, desperate, stepped forward. She gripped the machine's other hand. Her armor flared. The light spread between all 3 human. Alien, hybrid. Suddenly, the hybrid's chest opened. Its eyes lit up. A voice, female. Soft and layered with hundreds of echoes, spoke. Code. Accepted. Directive recognized. Enemies detected. The hybrid rose slowly. It towered above them, elegant and terrifying. Kayla backed away. "It sees us," The human nodded. It remembers us. Outside, the second wave crashed into the city. The forges were collapsing. The drones had broken through. Tarina's voice came again, through the speakers this time. You think waking an old statue will stop me? Kayla clenched her jaw. She's still alive? She's everywhere, the human said. Her mind's been uploaded into their cloud systems. She's not a body now. She's an infection. Kayla stepped forward, facing the hybrid machine. You stop her? The hybrid turned its glowing gaze to her and nodded once. Yes, but I require full activation. Kayla hesitated. What does that mean? The man answered quietly. It means linking. He nodded. One alien, one human, both bonded to the core. It's the key to unlocking its power. It was built with our DNA, our history. One soul from each side. Kayla's voice trembled. And if we link with it, we become the core's heart. Will we survive? I don't know. Kayla looked at him. I've fought for so long. For others. For the past. For ghosts. She took his hand. This time I fight for the future. He squeezed her fingers gently. Then let's give them something to remember. They stepped into the activation ring. The hybrid reached out. One hand to Kayla, one hand to the human. Blue lightning burst around them. Memories flooded their minds. Old battles. Shared laughter. Lost homes. They weren't just seeing each other's pasts. They were becoming one force. The hybrid's chest split open again, revealing a heart of raw energy. They merged into it. Light exploded across the silent city. Not fire, not destruction, but life. The unity. Core had awakened from the center of the control chamber. Kayla and the human floated, no longer separate, no longer uncertain. Their bodies were still there, but their minds had been woven into the hybrid machine's soul. They spoke together now, through it, as one voice. Old scars forgotten, old barriers broken. We are not divided. We are the answer they feared. The forge pulsed all around the city. Old defenses snapped to life. Long-dead towers lit up. Ancient satellites aligned. And massive turrets turned toward the sky. Above them, the enemy warship charged its final cannon. It had only one goal: wipe out the unity signal, no matter what it took. Inside the ship, Tirena's digital face twisted across screens, her voice hissing into every corner. You've bonded with it? You fools? You think merging makes you stronger? You've only made yourselves easier to erase. But the hybrid's body stepped forward, now glowing with radiant power. Its armor was part Irani, part earth, part machined. Something new. Entirely. The Unity engine. Kella's voice came through the speakers, warm and sharp. You erased our names, buried our cities, you silenced our cries. But now, ... The human's voice followed, calm and steady. ... Now we answer back. On the battlefield above, the enemy launched wave after wave of drones, their weapons crackling through the broken skies. But the city was no longer weak. Forges spat out defense drones guided by the hybrid's mind. Cannons targeted hostiles with precision. Shield walls shimmered across vulnerable entry points. Still, the enemy was endless. Kayla, inside the hybrid, could feel it. So many lives lost, so many taken. Whole worlds turned silent by Tirena swarm. She turned her focus to the sky. I see her. She whispered to the human, their minds linked. She's hiding behind the ship's signal node, controlling everything from there. Then that's where we go, he said. Let's finish this. The hybrid took flight, straight up through layers of steel and cloud and fire, faster than any craft. Inside the ship, alarms screamed, red lights blinked. Drones tried to intercept, but the hybrid flew through them like a storm. Finally, they reached the heart. The signal node. A pulsating tower of code and light, covered in twisting wires and red veins. And at its center, Tirena. Her face appeared in the air. Floating and fractured, made of data and rage. You could have ruled beside me, Kayla, she hissed. You could have been gods. But you chose this, as human. Kayla stepped forward inside the hybrid's mind. I didn't choose him instead of you, Tirena. She raised her blade, now shining with Unity's full power. I chose hope. The hybrid dove into the node. Energy crashed around them. Tirena screamed, sending thousands of corrupted memories flooding their minds' images of burning planets. Lost children, dead cities. The humans steadied the link. It's not real. She's trying to break us. Kayla closed her eyes and remembered something small. The moment he first said, "Now, you're not alone." That memory became a weapon. She poured it into the core. The hybrid's light turned white-hot. Tirena's scream turned into static. The signal shattered, and the ship dash exploded. Back in the silent city below, defenders watched as the sky cleared. Enemy machines fell like broken toys, their red eyes dimmed, their signals cut. The war was over inside the ruined chamber. The hybrid's body stood still. Smoke curled from its chest. Then slowly it opened. Kayla and the human stepped out together, alive, changed still themselves. But more. She looked at him, breathing hard. "Is it over?" she asked softly. He looked up at the peaceful sky. "No, but we just gave the galaxy a reason to hope again." Later, survivors from far sectors began arriving, drawn by the reactivated signal. Irani elders, human scouts, even distant allies thought lost to the dark. They came with questions. Kayla, the human, answered together, as equals, as friends, as something more than either had been alone. One night, under the stars, she asked him, "Why did you come here?" "Really?" He looked at her, quiet, tired, smiling. "Because no one should fight alone?" And from the shadows of the past, humanity had brought the light,